Hi sewing friends, I'm Diana from Sew Outside the Box. Welcome to today's video tutorial. Let's sew a wool applique shamrock coaster just in time for St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so it turns out I have a lot of background noise today, so I'm using voiceover for most of this video. I have my wool fabric base and I have my shamrock fabric, and I've already traced the shamrock onto freezer paper. And freezer paper is just useful for cutting out shapes. It doesn't have glue for sticking the shapes to other things. I'm putting the freezer paper on the top side of my applique shape. And once you've traced out your shape, then you're going to want to just trim around it, leave an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch around the shape. Then place your freezer paper on top of your green wool. Hold the iron on it for about 10 seconds. And then go ahead and cut the shape out nice and close with your sharp scissors. And the other thing about freezer paper is it's actually reusable for a few times. You can continue to reuse it until it's not sticky anymore. And now I'm going to use the Steam-A-Seam light to actually attach the shape to the base. So I could have applied Steam-A-Seam to the whole shape, but I often don't like sewing through adhesive. So I'm just going to use small pieces of Steam-A-Seam to hold the shape in place so it doesn't move around while I'm hand sewing. And I'm going to use this parallelogram shape. It looks like it's going to fit perfectly. It will hold the shape in place and I'll still be able to blanket stitch around without sewing through the adhesive. And I'm tracing onto the grid side of the Steam-A-Seam paper, and then I'll just cut it out, and it's going to be easy to cut because it's all straight sides. And now I peel that grid paper off. Now, Steam-A-Seam is tricky stuff sometimes. I didn't edit this part out because sometimes it behaves like this, where the adhesive wants to stay with the paper side that I'm trying to peel off, and I want to keep the adhesive with the grid side. So I just use my nail to keep that glue attached to the grid. And sometimes you just have to give up and start again with another small piece, but you can often hold the adhesive in place and make it work. And then give it another quick press with the iron just to adhere it to the shamrock shape. And then once it's cooled, you can peel that paper off and you'll be left with the adhesive. And then we can use that to apply the shamrock shape to the base fabric. And then I'll give another press with the hot iron, and I'll press the top side and I'll press the back side. And now you can see that the shape is being held on and it won't shift around as I go around with my blanket stitch. And here's my tie a knot trick in case you haven't seen it before. I hold the thread with my thumb and then I wrap counterclockwise 3 times, and then I just pull that needle through and it leaves a knot at the end of my thread. And now I'm going to blanket stitch around my shamrock, and it's great because I don't have to hand sew through any adhesive, and yet the adhesive is still holding my shamrock in place. And now I'm going to use the same technique with the fusible web in order to attach the base shamrock piece to the backing. And now I'm going to blanket stitch around the outer edge. I'm going to begin my stitch in the middle in order to bury my knot in between the layers.
Okay, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this week's video tutorial. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you next week with another great sew along.